That was probably the event that most closely got them together to the point where they wanted to go out on a date together.
They made plans to get together, but kept it secret.
She initiated a phone call to David stating that she was open, she was available. Did they want to meet tonight?
I'm almost out of here.
She said, well, I'll come over and we'll meet at work and we'll go from there. Well, David doesn't want coworkers to see Nee show up at work. So he then cuts everybody loose from work a couple hours early.
All the employees had gone home by the time David met Nee in the parking garage. They were going to go to a movie, but decided it was too late and drove in separate cars to David's home instead.
Hey, can you give me your address?
Just follow me.
Okay.
When Norton went with him that night, that was the first time they had ever gone anywhere together.
David warned Nee that his boss, Carl, lives downstairs.
One of the things he told her was, to be extremely quiet because if I heard him, he was in a world of trouble.
Thanks. My boss actually lives downstairs.
And that would have been true.
The two, slowly and tentatively, got to know each other.
Yeah, these are my favorite.
And the two of them end up having sex throughout the evening. She then has to go home.
Nee left David's apartment sometime after 1 a.m. He had wanted her to stay the night, but she said she had to go home. She had a compelling reason. Nee was only 18, but David was not the only man she was involved with. She was also the mistress of Ronald Barker, a married man twice her age. She had met the Vietnamese American online.
He was very secretive with Nee Norton, although he did tell her that he was in the mafia and had killed people before, and just gave her a line of baloney that because of her immature years, she believed. He was very controlling.
And unbeknownst to her, while she's at David's, Ronald Barker's trying to get a hold of her.
He had her on a pager, and he paged her many, many times during the night when she was with David.
Nee tells the detectives she'd left her pager at home. When she got back to her house around 2 a.m., a shock awaited her.
Are you crazy?
Nee says Barker was violently angry that she hadn't responded to his pages all night.
Where have you been? Huh?
I was shopping.
Shopping for what?
When he didn't believe her excuses, she took a different tack.
I was at my boss's place.
Your bosses?
He made me sleep with him.
She confessed to having sex with her boss, but she told him she'd been raped.
He raped you.
He doesn't buy that, but he is furious with her, and he's not overly happy with this other guy.
Who's this guy? I want to see him. Tonight! I want to see him tonight! Where he live? Where does he live?
So the two of them hatch this plan about killing David Stevens. The killing of David Stevens is somehow going to right this wrong of infidelity that has occurred here.
Come on, let's go.
Ronald Barker gave her two choices. One, he would end the relationship. Or two, they would go kill David Stevens. And she agreed to go kill David Stevens.
Let's go.
It can't happen without Nee, because Ronald Barker doesn't know who David Stevens is, doesn't know his name, doesn't know how to find him, doesn't know where he lives. So Nee is the pathfinder. She's the facilitator to make all this happen.
Nee and Barker drove to David's apartment.
Oh.
David?
Me?
Yeah, it's me. I got a flat tire. Can you come out and help me?
She'd lure him out by saying she was having car trouble. Knowing that David, being David, would help her.
Yeah, I'll be right down. Give me a minute.
It wouldn't have mattered if it was a stranger. If it was someone that needed help, David would help them.
It was around 3:30 a.m. when David and Nee drove out of his garage. It was unlikely David even noticed another vehicle silently pulling out and following him into the night. Coming up, Nee gets more than she bargained for.
She didn't think she did anything wrong. But in fact, she's the one who set this whole thing in motion by leading David Stevens to his slaughter.
Three years after David Stevens' violent death, 21-year-old Nee Norn has come forward to police as a witness to his murder. Though she admits luring David out of his home to his death, she puts the blame squarely on her boyfriend, Ronald Barker.
Well, I didn't know he would go through with it. I was scared. So I just did whatever he told me to do.
She's very petite, she's very quiet, very, almost shy. She's portraying herself as basically as an unwitting accomplice, that this was all on Ron, that she was just basically forced to go along with it.
The plan included a prearranged signal from Barker to Nee.
When Barker feels it's the right time, he's gonna flash his headlights. She's to say, oh, that's my brother, pull over. And that's what in fact happens. And the lights start flashing.
It must be my brother.
Brother?
Yeah.
Nee goes to David, oh, there's my brother, pull over.
I called him for help too, just in case.
So he trusted, and he did.
That's your brother's car?
If David had any misgivings about what's going on, we'll never know.
Ron comes up, there's an introduction.
How you doing? I'm Brandon. David. I'm her brother. Hey, nice to meet you. Hey.
They all shake hands, everybody's a pal.
Barker gets in to the back seat behind David Stevens. And they start directing him into a commercial area, looking for Norn's car.
It's a very industrial area, it's very quiet, not a lot of activity going on.
On this lonely stretch of road, Ron Barker ordered David to pull over.
Norn was in the passenger seat during all of this. Never warned him. Never said he's got a gun. Never said, don't pull over. Nothing.
They park. Ron then puts his arm around David's neck and puts the gun to his head.
How do you feel screwing someone's girl?
Nee Norn became quite hysterical at that point because who knows if she even believed that Barker was going to do this.
Welcome to hell.
She didn't want to get into the car with David's body.
I don't want to have anything to do with this.
He was dead. She'd gotten him to that place.
Ron shoved David's crumpled body into the passenger seat.
They need to dispose of David and the car.
With David's lifeless frame still in the front seat, they drove back to Ron's car and then caravan, picking up gas cans on the way to La Jolla Scenic Drive. First Ron, and then Nee, pulled over to the side of the road.
Barker took out the gas cans, doused the interior of the car with gas.
Though he didn't realize it, Ron Barker had created a bomb. When he lit it, the blowback seared his arms. He hurried to his car, and Nee sped away from the inferno burning in the night.
And they make a pact that if neither one of them ever tells anyone about this, they'll never get caught, and if they take this to the grave, they'll get away with it. And they almost did.
Nee tells police she continued to live with Barker for 3 years after the murder. She had recently separated from Ron, but says she was afraid he would harm her or her family because of what she knew about David's murder. So she decided to come forward.
Norn did talk about David in her statement. She sounded sorry. She sounded sorry that she had done it. She was faced with a choice between David Stevens and Ronald Barker.
Where have you been?
When she chose Ronald Barker, the price was David Stevens' death. And she let the chips fall where they may.
Nee Norn's dramatic statement checks out with forensics. Her DNA, hair, and fingerprints match those found in David's apartment. That mystery is solved. but there is no physical evidence tying Ron Barker to the crime.
All we have is her word that Ronald Barker is the person that was responsible for killing the man. So we ask her to make phone calls to Ronald Barker while we record them in an effort to corroborate out her statement.
I told you, right? I told you that you should not talk to anybody, but you did.
Barker takes the bait.
We're both going down.
No, I didn't kill him. You did.
You bring him to me, Nee. You do. I do it for you, Nee. You asked me to do it.
No,
I
I
did
didn't
not.
ask you to do it. I never told you
Nee.
to kill him, did I?
Nee.
Did you do it for your ego? You did
Nee,
it
you know what, Nee?
to make you feel
Doesn't
better.
matter.
He would say, yeah, you were involved. You lured him to me. I killed him, but you're the one that set it up. I couldn't have killed him without you.
And I'm gonna tell them that.
Very interesting how they turned on one another.
Late that night, Barker turns himself in and is questioned by homicide detectives about David's death. At first, he is arrogant.
Tell us what happened.
You know what happened. You know what happened. You have everything. Why you ask me?
He knew that Nee Norn was thinking of going to the police. He didn't know she had gone. Barker thought, if I get to the church first and tell what happened first, that I'll be able to talk my way out of this.
When he discovers Nee Norn has beat him to the punch, he is furious.
Take them.
Still, he tells detectives everything they need to know to charge him with David's murder.
I did it for her. Okay? She wanted him dead as much as I did.
Barker's statements, for the most part, tracked Norn's exactly. The time frames were all there. The sequence of events, the same. Barker was very clear that he did this for Norn, that this was the condition for them staying together.
I'm the one who do it. You know, I do everything for her. And you know, maybe that's my weakness. I do it for her. She tell me,
When Barker rolls up his sleeves, investigators see prominent flash burn scars on his arms.
I kind of leaned in and I was like, whoa. You know, I mean, they were very remarkable scars. He also told us that the reason why he torched the car was to destroy all physical evidence.
Although she seemed to think that once she told her story, she would be free to go on with her life, Nee Norn is also charged with murder.
Because she didn't pull the trigger, she didn't dump the gas, she didn't scratch the match, she didn't think she did anything wrong. When in fact, she's the one who set this whole thing in motion by telling Ron Barker what happened and by leading David Stevens to his slaughter.
Mr. Barker, stand, raise your right hand, sir.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony...
In 2003, Ronald Barker is convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Nee Norn is also found guilty of first-degree murder, but that conviction is overturned on appeal. At a new trial in 2007, she is found guilty of second-degree murder and is sentenced to 15 years to life, including time served.
I wish I could tell you why this happened to David Stevens. It's been a lot of years, and I'm still very upset by it. He had a great family, who loved him, good job, nice friends. He'd come out to California to kind of seek his dream, as a lot of people do. He wanted to share his life with a woman, have a family. He asked out a gal that he liked, and he worked with, and he trusted. He had sex with her, and she had him killed. I will never understand.
When you have something this tragic that happens, you seem to think that if you can just find who did it, that it'll bring you some peace and maybe make you feel a little better about it in some way. And quite frankly, it doesn't. There's no closure to this. There'll never be any closure to this. My friend is dead, and that's something I have to live with the rest of my life.